Hi everybody! The point of this video is to show you some less conventional ways that you can make your journals a little bit more exciting. We'll explore some ways to make your work a little bit more interactive for the person who's viewing your journal. So for instance, this little picture that I'm looking at right now, this little monster is actually like a bookmark that you can put on the corner. So that's interactive. Another thing you can do is you can work with layers in your books. We're also going to be talking about collage and some really interesting ways that you can use other materials inside of your book besides the paper that's already there. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is create a pocket inside the front cover of your books for a table of contents. We'll have a table of contents for your Q1 prompts, and then we'll also, on the back side of this, do a table of contents for your Q2 prompts. And we'll keep that in a little pocket inside the front cover, so that way Miss Braun and I know where to find your entries when we go to grade your work. So your job today is to create a pocket to hold that little card. We have a couple of options. The first option is to create a very basic envelope that you can add onto your journal with an extra scrap piece of paper. In this example, this one has a flap. That wouldn't work for your table of contents, but hopefully it gives you another idea that you can use for another entry. But the one that you would make today looks a little bit more like this. Oh, look at my little friend here. It's just a little basic pocket that you can put your table of contents in. So that's option number one. Option number two is to create what I like to call a hidden pocket. I like to call it a hidden pocket because it actually is just one cut into a piece of paper and it's secured to another piece of paper, so that way the items that you stick in that pocket don't fall out. Throughout your journal, you can do some really cool things with that method where you can create like an illusion of some sort of object and again, make it interactive so that way your viewers have something to do besides just look at it. Okay, the first one I'm going to show you how to make is just that basic pocket. So I'm going to recycle this old advertisement for a mail-in CD company. This is from a really old comic book. But your piece of paper, the scrap paper you're using, needs to be bigger than the library card that you're using to make this table of contents. The first thing you're going to do is set your card on top. Doesn't really matter which way. Set your card on top of the paper and then fold the edges on either side so that way there's a flap sort of enveloping your card. And then we're going to fold the bottom up wherever you want your pocket to stop. So if I want this much of my table of contents sticking out, then I want to fold the back of that pocket right at the bottom of the card, like that. Now this is kind of bulky, so the next thing I'm going to do is remove the card. I'm actually going to get rid of these corner pieces. All right, so I've already basically created the pocket like so. And so now all I have to do is glue this into my book so that way it's nice and secure. And for both of these, all you need is a glue stick. So if I'm going to glue this, oops. The part that I want to glue is the part that's all folded up in the back. So I'm going to go ahead and take my card out of here for now. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of a little bit of this flap too. It's really long. It doesn't need to be that long. I'm also going to make sure that I can't see any of the flaps on the front side. And since I can see that one a little bit, I'm going to cut in so it makes more like a little trapezoid on the bottom. Just clean it up. I like that we've got Avril Lavigne right on the front there. Okay, so now I'm going to take my glue stick and I'm going to go ahead and glue this bottom flap to these side ones here. I want to make sure not to get it in this center part, but just in the corners. I'm avoiding the center because that's where my card will go in. And if I had glue there, it would stick to the card. So you want to avoid the area where the card's going to stick. And then I'm going to glue all of this again. Make sure you're not gluing the part where the card's going to touch. And I'm putting this right inside, well, this is my little practice journal, but right inside the front cover. That way it's really easy for your teachers to see that little table of contents pocket. Option number 2, you don't need any extra paper. You're actually going to use the paper that's right inside your front cover. So to create, again, something that looks like this, where the pocket is already just like part of one whole piece of paper, we're just going to start by using this front piece of paper. And little tip, if you mess up, you can just rip this page out and go to the next one. But the first thing we're going to do is fold this piece of paper in half. Like so. And wherever I want my pocket, like the top of my pocket to be, that's where I'm going to make a cut. And I need to make sure that it's at least about half as long as this card. So I need to cut to about here. So I think I'll cut right there. Go past. And then I'm going to open it back up. So this is the part that I want to keep loose so I can put stuff in it. This part is going to get completely glued, smushed down to the next page. Now I also don't want items to fall out of this, so I need to make sure that on the back side of this I put glue all around the perimeter. Okay, and now we smush that page to the page that is behind it. And I want to be careful with this because that glue is still drying, but I want to just show you that now I can set this in here and it stops where I put that line of glue. So now I can just tuck this in and out of this pocket. So there are 2 ways to make pockets. I'm sure you can come up with a whole bunch of other different ways on your own. The last thing we'd like to see you demonstrate on this page is some use of Mod Podge, which is a really fun material. It's messy, but it's really fun. So this is still my pocket where I'm going to put my table of contents, but I'm going to Mod Podge and basically create a whole new image, a whole new collage out of 4 different pieces of magazine. For this piece, we'd like you to make sure that you Mod Podge at least 3 pieces together, at least, so you can do more if you wish. But like I said, I just want to make sure that you know how to use this pretty awesome material. So when you are ready to Mod Podge, you'll need a paintbrush. We have some designated for Mod Podging in some rooms, but if you don't have a specific gluing brush, make sure that you are using the paintbrush. Well, use a paintbrush and just make sure that you clean it out really well, because if the glue dries in here, the paintbrush is ruined. And then you'll need the little container of Mod Podge that you can find. They might look a little different than this, but they will be labeled Mod Podge. When you are Mod Podging, you want to think glue, paper, glue. So I'm going to clear this out of the way. I kind of remember how I had this arranged. And the first thing I'm going to do is lay down a thin layer of glue. Now I say thin layer so that way you're not puddling it up, because if it puddles, you're going to be waiting forever for this to dry. It'll get really wrinkly. But you don't want it to be too thin. Like, you actually want to get the glue all over the place. Then you want to put down your bottom layer of pictures. Whenever you're creating a collage with Mod Podge, it's really important to overlap. And you're going to seal every piece that you put down with another layer of Mod Podge. So glue, put the paper down, more glue. I already have the glue on the bottom. Put my paper down. More glue. And making sure to follow the order of stacking these pictures the way I had envisioned. Put Hulk on top here. I'm going to be careful. I have his head actually right on top of where the actual pocket is. So I want to make sure not to glue that down, but all this that's on the bottom of the pocket and gluing down. And lastly, I'm not going to Mod Podge this part. I found this one girl who looked really surprised. So I thought it'd be funny to put, maybe it's not that funny, but I thought it'd be cute to put her right in the back of the pocket. And she says, "Now what's going on?" So that way, when my table of contents is in my pocket and somebody takes it out, they see her. That is interactivity, folks.